Hello and welcome back. We are about to start on chapter 4. We just left off and BB went to go get a piece of candy from the machine and she has not come back yet. Here we go, chapter 4. BB? No reply. I put the room key in my pocket, closed the door, and headed for the candy machine. A sign taped to the front of it said, "Out of order, use machine on the second floor." I frowned, annoyed at my sister. She knew she shouldn't go downstairs by herself. I walked back to the elevator and looked up at the arrow. It was part way between 2 and 3, and she must be on her way back up. When the doors didn't open, I looked again. The arrow still pointed between the floors. Oh, great. BB was stuck in the elevator. I waited a minute, hoping the elevator would start again by itself, the way it did when Darren had got stuck, but the arrow didn't bulge. I returned to the room and called the front desk. "The elevator is stuck again," I told the clerk. "Is anyone on it?" "Yes, at least I think so. I'm not positive." The clerk sighed loudly into the receiver. "We have to pay the repair service double time after 5 o'clock, he said. "Unless we know there's someone stuck between the floors, we'll wait until tomorrow morning to call them." "I'll make sure my sister isn't on the stairs," I said. I raced down the hall to the stairway, galloped down to the second floor, and checked the candy machine there. No BB. I ran back upstairs. I glanced at the elevator arrow before I returned to the room, and it was exactly where it had been the last time I looked at it. I unlocked our room and called the front desk again. "The elevator's still stuck," I said, "and my sister's on it." She had better be, I thought, because if she isn't, where is she? I stood in the doorway where I could see the elevator and still hear the phone if it rang. I knew my parents wouldn't call again, but the man at the desk might have to call to tell me when the repairman would arrive. I'm in charge, I thought. I should have never let her out of my sight. I should have gone with her. If nobody had answered the phone when Mom called, she would have called again in a few minutes. My stomach felt knotted up like a pretzel. I was almost certain BB was stuck on the elevator, but I remembered news stories about kidnapped children. One minute a child was with his parents in a shopping mall or a bowling alley or some other public place, and the next minute the child had vanished. Many times I had seen video clips of weeping parents pleading with whoever had taken their son or daughter to bring the child back. I knew how Mom and Dad would react if they got back to the hotel and they had figured out that BB had disappeared. No. I pushed that shocking scene out of my mind, refusing to let my imagination take that path. "She's on the elevator," I told myself. "She has to be." I wiped the palms of my hands on my jeans and wondered how long it usually took for the repair service to arrive. I wouldn't let myself think about what would happen if the elevator got fixed, but BB wasn't on it. The stairway door opened. A man carrying a cardboard pizza box and a white paper bag came down the hall. The man's face was red, beads of sweat dotted on his brow. "You ordered a pizza?" he asked. The words came out in wispy puffs as the man tried to catch his breath. "Yes, thanks." I took the box and the bag and set them on the table in the room. The man followed me into the room. He took a handkerchief from his pocket and patted his forehead with it. "It's bad enough we have to deliver clear over here from Frontier Lodge kitchen," he said, "but I had to walk all the way up to the 3rd floor. The elevator's broken." "I know. Thanks for bringing our order." And I handed the man the $5 bill. He looked less grumpy as he tucked the bill in his pocket. "Thank you, sir," he said. BB appeared in the doorway. Relief and anger mixed in my mind like two colors of paint swirling together. "You are in big trouble," I said. "The elevator got stuck, but it's working again," BB said as she came into the room. She didn't look at me, but directed her words to the pizza man. "I needed it more coming up," he said. He left, closing the door behind him. "What were you thinking?" I demanded. "Well, the candy machine on this floor didn't work. You knew you shouldn't go downstairs alone. You should have come and told me, and I would have gone with you." At least she had the sense to look guilty. "Well, I did come back to get you," she said, "and I heard the phone ring. I knew you were talking to Mom, and I thought I could go get my candy bar and be back before you hung up. And I would have made it, too, if the elevator hadn't stopped." "You scared me half to death. I didn't know if you were on the elevator or if some nutcase had abducted you." BB hung her head. "It happened, you know," I said. "Practically every week there's a report on the news about some kid who disappears." "Well, I didn't think about that," BB said. "You didn't think, period. You could have been chopped in pieces and stuffed in the dumpster." Beebe's lower lip quivered, a sure sign that tears would soon flow. Are you going to tell Mom and Dad? Maybe. I knew I wouldn't tell them because I was somewhat to blame for what had happened. I should have gone with her to the candy machine instead of letting her go by herself. But I didn't tell Beebe that. I wanted her to worry about possible punishment for a while. That way, she wouldn't pull a stupid stunt like this again. Where's your candy bar? I asked. Don't tell me the other machine was broken too. I ate it while I was on the elevator. She grinned at me. Dessert first. Let's eat our pizza before it gets cold, I said. I opened the box. The pizza smelled delicious. Pineapples, tomatoes, and extra cheese, my favorite kind. I handed Beebe a napkin. Thank you, sir, Beebe said, sounding exactly like the delivery man. I smiled. It was hard to stay mad now that everything had turned out fine. How does it feel to be a big spender? Beebe asked. I took a bite and ignored her. As I set my slice of pizza down, the table tilted. One side lifted up while the other side went down. The carton of pizza slid off the edge, flipped, and landed cheese side down on the floor. The milkshakes would have gone too if we hadn't grabbed them. At the same time, the chairs we were sitting on seemed to sink and then come up again, like one of the rides at the county fair. Whoa, Beebe said. Did you feel that? A lamp toppled off the bedside table. We let go of the milkshakes and clung to the arms of the chairs as they dipped down again. It's an earthquake, I said, my heart thudding like a bass drum. I felt frozen in my place, my shocked brain incapable of thought. My milkshake spilled, Beebe said. It's all over the floor. The whole room swayed from side to side. Pieces of the bathroom ceiling crashed to the tile floor. Everything that was on top of the dresser tumbled off. Sunglasses, Mom's hairbrush, the postcards I bought, the envelope with our tickets for the flight back to Kansas City, and Dad's pile of change all landed in a heap. Beebe leaned down to look under the table. The pizza's wrecked, she said. It's all dirty. She started to pick it up, but as she did, her chair moved again, causing her to bump her head on the table. Ouch! She yelled. Somehow her cry brought me to my senses. I needed to keep us from getting hurt if I could. Get on the floor, I said, and cover your head with your hands. I hoped I didn't sound as scared as I felt. We crouched with our foreheads on the floor and our arms over our heads. The old green shag carpet smelled musty, and I saw stains that I hadn't noticed before. 2 peanuts, dropped by former occupants of the room, hid under the desk. I heard a crackling sound like the static of the radio, followed by a poof that seemed to come from the roof, and the lights went out. Enough daylight came through the window that I could see around the room. Everything moved. It was as if the entire building had been placed in a large box, and now a giant was shaking the box. The drapes swung back and forth. Beebe's bucket of stones tipped over, dumping everything out. Dad's shaving kit slid off the bathroom counter and crashed to the floor on top of the broken pieces of the ceiling. Beside me, the bed creaked as if someone was bouncing on it. Bang! A loud noise exploded outside behind the hotel. Was that a gun? Beebe asked. I don't think so. Maybe a big tree fell down. We hunched side by side with our hands on our heads for only a minute or two, but it seemed like hours. Then as suddenly as it had started, the shaking stopped. Beebe put her hands down and began crawling toward her spilled stones. Don't get up yet, I said. There might be aftershocks. The rug stinks. I don't like putting my face by it. Sit up then, but keep your hands over your head in case any more of the ceiling comes down. We remained on the floor for a few minutes more, but nothing else happened. I got up, stepped over the milkshake puddle, and walked to the window. Beebe stood beside me. Everything outside looked exactly as it had before. Down on the beach, the waves licked against the shore, and far out on the water, a large yacht was silhouetted against the sky. I wondered if it was the Elegant Empress. Had Mom and Dad felt the earthquake on the ocean? Or was the water so deep that it cushioned the jolts that came from the earth far below? Oh, wow, Beebe said. That was exciting. Wait till Mom and Dad hear we had an earthquake while we were gone. She began picking up her stones and putting them back in the bucket. Can we order another pizza and more milkshakes? She asked. Maybe the hotel won't charge us to replace them, since it wasn't our fault that they spilled. I didn't reply. All I could think about was the sign we had seen at the beach that morning. I couldn't remember exactly how it was worded, but I did remember that as soon as an earthquake ended, we were supposed to run away from the water and go as far inland and uphill as we could go. Mom and Dad had told us to stay in the hotel while they were gone, but this morning, Dad had made sure we understood the warning signs instructions. So should BB and I stay where we were or leave the hotel and hike up the hill? So Kyle and BB, they just experienced an earthquake. And Kyle, he's in charge right now. And I want you all to think about how scary that would be and what you would do if you were in charge of like your little siblings, or it was just you and your siblings, or maybe your cousins. What would you do in that situation? Do you think you would respond the same way as Kyle? And what do you think he will do now? Because he knows that he's not supposed to leave, but he also knows that there was a warning sign about tsunamis. And an earthquake is what causes a tsunami. So I want you to stop and think for a second. What do you think Kyle would do? What do you think the smart choice would be? And what would you do if you were in that situation? This is your last video for today, Wednesday, April the 15th. Make sure you complete the Google form over chapters 3 and 4. And if you have any questions, as always, you can email me, text me, call me. All right, friends. I'll see you guys later.